Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Sarah, the book production manager here at Self-Publish in 30 Days, and I'm back with 9 tips for your writing. So first one I want to talk about, number one thing, these are such helpful tips, but it really doesn't require you to create content. These are just things to structure so that you know where you're going with your book, essentially like a roadmap. So number one, schedule time to write. If it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. That's exactly what I would tell my staff when I used to be a busy school principal. If things weren't on my calendar, it wasn't taking place. Same thing with your writing. You need to schedule in that time so that it does happen, and it doesn't just happen because of willpower. You need to make sure that things are structured within your day so that they happen. Second tip, write for a minimum of 15 minutes every day. Just 15 minutes is all it takes to move you in the direction that you want to go and get your book out into the world. 15 minutes every day adds up. And trust me, I've been through the process myself as an author, even coming to self-publish in 30 days. When I heard that 15 minutes is all I needed to do a day, I said, all right, I'm going to be able to do this. And I know you can do it too. So right now, before you even go on to listening any further, I want you to schedule the time that you're going to write, that 15-minute slot. Even give yourself 30 minutes if you want a little bit longer of time. But remember, you only need 15 minutes every day to make it happen. The third tip is to read 30 minutes every day. This is something I also used to tell my students when I was a teacher. Reading is giving you examples of how to write. It gives you ideas. It brings forward different voices that you can also accompany in your book. And so reading 30 minutes every day is actually giving you practice as an author, and it's also expanding your knowledge too. Tip number 4, do not edit along the way. It might be tempting, especially if you have the perfectionist type mindset. You want to make sure that everything's good to go before you move forward. Okay, we want to make sure that the work is done. So get it out there. The editing can be done once you complete the process, because a lot of times what happens is you go back to edit and you lose your train of thought. And so when you're in that writing mode, you want to just get all your thoughts out before they leave your mind, because there's nothing worse than not remembering a great idea that you had and not being able to put it to the paper or the Word document, whatever you're using that's in front of you at the moment. Tip number 5, 50 words in a paragraph. That's what you want to aim for. Okay. As you're writing your paragraphs, you want to aim for about 50 words. Tip number 6, a line in a book contains 12 words. Okay. So these are all formatting things just to keep in mind. One line in a book contains 12 words. The next tip, a paragraph should be 6 to 8 lines. Okay, as you're writing and you want to create these paragraphs, just kind of keep that in mind. It's not that you have to count all this as you're going, but these are just things that are going to help your document really have that fluid movement throughout and that cohesive consistency that makes books flow even better for the reader. And typically, here's the next tip is that there's 225 to 275 words on a page. So if you do the math on that, you're going to be able to figure out exactly how big your book is going to be there in the end. So again, 225 to 275 words a page. And a great length for a book is really about 60 to 120 pages, which isn't a huge book. And the reason for that is that a lot of readers really enjoy the smaller books because they know that a lot of people know that with their time, they don't really want to spend a lot of time reading books, or they don't feel like they have the time to do it. And a reader is more likely to pick up a book if they see that it's not very overwhelming, like maybe books that you read back in the day when you were in school, like War and Peace, for example. You know, that's a huge, huge book, and it's almost a daunting task to even begin to read a book like that. So keeping books between 60 to 120 pages is really what people are looking for to enhance their knowledge and, you know, find books that are going to improve their lives. And as you're going through the process, some things to just kind of think of is maybe the font style that you prefer. Have you read a book that has very small print before? or a book that has too large a print. I kind of relate this back to the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You know, we don't want font that's too big. We don't want font that's too small. We want it just right, just like she had with the porridge. So when you go to sit down to decide these types of things, and what I did in my book, Pivoting from the Game, I knew that I wanted to make this book not only feel easy when you pick it up, because in general, my book altogether is 97 pages. I wanted the athletes that read my book to be able to pick it up and not want to put it down, because the words were very easy to read inside. And also there was a lot of spacing in places for people to be able to take notes and write. So that's also something that you'll want to start to think about as you're going through this writing process. And the great part about what we have here in the team at Self-Published in 30 Days is our interior design team is actually going to help you through this process. And being a first-time author, when I went through that, that was like the best thing. And in fact, before I even started to write my book, I really never paid attention to the interior design on books. You know, a lot of times we look at the cover of the book and that's whether we decide we're going to read it or not. But what about the inside? Because once you start reading, that's really where it's determined if you're going to finish the book or not, based on the format, the layout, if the aesthetics are nice in there. And not only that, is the font easy on the eyes. So these are all things to take into consideration. And once again, our interior design team is going to be here to help you through this process. You're not alone. That's why you're here at Self-Published in 30 Days. And that's why this is the year for your new book. We're going to make it come alive this year.